Today's review is If I Was Your Girl by Meredith Russo. This past weekend, it was the last weekend of my spring break, and I was painting the master bedroom and bathroom. I wanted something to listen to while I was working. I didn't really have anything on my wish list, so I was cruising through some bestsellers lists online, and on Barnes & Noble's, the young adult list, they had this book. I wasn't familiar with it. I hadn't heard of it before, but the reviews were good. The summary was interesting, so I gave it a try. In the end, I'm kind of glad I did. This is a story about Amanda, and she starts the story off on a bus with a black eye and dreams. Amanda is leaving the suburbs of Atlanta, heading to rural Georgia, to reconnect with her father, who she's been estranged from since her parents divorced several years before. But she also has the dream of restarting her life, that she wants to go to her father's town, go to high school, survive it, get out of it, and then start her real life, hopefully in a big city like New York, go to NYU or something. Because Amanda was born Andrew, and she had suffered years of bullying, harassment, physical intimidation, until she got to the point where she tried to commit suicide. After that, she began, and she received therapy, and she put herself back together. She then started the process of transitioning, and now this 18-year-old girl is completely, hormonally and surgically transitioned. And she wants to restart and just get through things this last year of high school so that she can start over. She got the black eye from an assault in a mall bathroom, which is a story we've heard many times before. When she lands in her father's town, she goes to high school, she goes to her new school, she's immediately accepted, and things are going really well. In her first few months, she develops a group of good girlfriends. She develops a best friend in kind of the outcast of B, and she starts dating a boy, a popular athlete. But as you can imagine, her secret does get out. You know, as a story about high school life, the drama of of going through high school, the story really works. The things that Meredith writes about and that the experiences Amanda has are very real and are very are realistically portrayed. I really agreed with the way that those things were presented, and I thought that, you know, a young adult reader would be able to identify with those things. As a story about how to be a friend, I think this story works. Amanda develops a group of girlfriends, and they do girlfriend kind of things. They help each other out. They stand up for each other. They spend time together. They're good with each other. The girls help Amanda and each other really find homecoming dresses. B and her become very good friends in which they share many of their darkest secrets, their deepest secrets, including Amanda sharing her own. And toward the end, one of the girls in Amanda's group goes to some pretty extreme measures to protect her friend after the secret is out. I think as a story about the relationship between parents and their children, I think this story works. It's interesting to see the interaction between her and her father, to see those kinds of interactions and why parents do some of the things that they do and what their concerns and fears were. I think that worked as well. As a story about self-worth, self-respect, I think this story works. Amanda and her boyfriend Grant have many opportunities to take their relationship to a physical level. And Amanda, while she is totally capable of it, she doesn't really, she resists. She doesn't want to take a relationship that far, not quite yet. Grant doesn't push her, doesn't make her feel bad about her decisions. He respects her, and also the fact that she respects herself. She has set boundaries, and she stands up for those things. So I think that's a good piece as well. But obviously, this story is about a trans student, and interesting for young adults to read about that. I think that was very interesting, and I think it's very enlightening. I think the way that this was presented really helps. This wasn't a primer on how to be a friend with a trans student or a trans friend or somebody who's transitioned. It really wasn't that. There was one place where B asks Amanda after she tells B that she used to be Andrew. B says, well, tell me how what can I ask? What can I not ask? And Amanda says, well, don't ask this, don't ask this, don't ask this. But that's really the only place where we see that. And I think that was presented kind of nicely. It wasn't, hey, here's how you be a friend to a person who's transitioned. So I think that was good. It was very much, here's a person and here's how you would, here's how you interact with them as a friend, not as something different. I think that was pretty well done. I think that the story behind Amanda was well done and allowed the reader to really kind of empathize with her and feel this. So I think this was a really good presentation. And the idea of, exposing young adults to this just kind of helps in that idea of acceptance. I did have a little bit of a problem with the story in that, it was set in the South, in the Bible Belt, and there are these religious overtones at places. And, I think maybe that muddied the water a little bit for me because obviously religion is part of the controversy here, why some people just don't want to accept trans people, trans students. And maybe some people use religion as justification for, to cover up other things, other fears that they might have. But I think that kind of muddied up the water a little bit by adding that religious layer to it. I know it's part of it. I get that. But maybe, taking that element out would allow the reader to really focus on the topic a little clearer. I think also, too, there was the idea that at first I had this kind of problem like, wow, really, would Amanda as an 18-year-old have already been able to have surgery and to really be fully this girl, this woman that she wanted to be? Russo does address this in the after notes. She does say that, it would not be common for that person to already have had that surgery. Hormones, yes, the surgery, no. But again, she wanted to make this story a little more, meaningful and richer and fuller. And so I got that and I appreciated that. As a story, I think this worked. I think it went well. It was interesting. It was easy to read. It flowed well. But I think that the interesting part about this is, being a story about a trans student and allowing young adults to really experience that, I think helps. And makes this story a little bit more meaningful. So I think in the end, I put this on the fourth bookshelf. I think that the content of it makes it better. The story was good, nothing really wrong with it, but nothing that you really hadn't seen before. I think that the idea that this was, allowing young adults to really see what is it like to be a trans student or a person who's transitioning, moved it from the 3.5 to the fourth bookshelf.